Canada is getting a lot hotter, and our weather is getting increasingly weirder and weirder as the years go by. From record high temperatures to massive flash floods to an increase in the melting of our ice caps, the massive increase in ice loss, our country is warming up at a rate twice as fast as the rest of the world. And as the climate crisis already progresses, we have begun to see a lot of changes that are directly affecting the way we live our lives here in Canada. I know this whole climate change topic is very touchy, and a lot of Canadians aren't willing to accept the fate of what we need to do in order to set ourselves up for success and have a sustainable future here in Canada. And now personally seeing how climate change is impacted in my community that I currently live in, I believe we can no longer turn a blind eye to what's going on. And trust me, I'm not here to give some sort of doomsday, doom and gloom video or message out to people to start getting them worried. And ultimately, this is a very complicated subject and something that I personally need a lot more education and have to do a lot more research on before I give hardcore opinions on what I think we need to do into the future. My whole intent of this video is just to make you aware of what's actually going on and the amount of destruction that's happening in Canada and how this is going to impact our future and our kids' future to come. First, let's start off talking about the fires. So I live personally in Kelowna, British Columbia, where just in this past year, our community was absolutely destroyed by the wildfires that impacted us in West Kelowna in particular. Each year, it is to be expected that in the Okanagan and in the valley, we are surrounded by beautiful forest regions, and it's just kind of something that you're going to be expected each and every summer, that there's going to be forest fires. There's going to be a period of time where you can't really go outside, the smoke is going to bug you, but of recent years it just progressively keeps getting worse and worse, and these fires are starting to happen earlier and earlier in the season and to be burned longer and longer into the summer, where now our summers of what we're used to be able to go outside and all these activities to do, and the main reason why we live in this area is now being directly affected by how long these forest fires seem to last and how extensive and the amount of destruction that they're currently doing in our communities. In Canada, roughly about half of the wildfires are actually caused due to lightning. So these fires are caused by natural occurrences. But with lightning strikes are up on an increase due to climate change. To go along with the lack of rain that some of these regions are seeing, we literally do have Kindle just waiting there to get started when these lightning strikes come into play. And as due to the increasing temperatures that we're experiencing each and every summer, all these regions are really sucked dry of all the moisture during these months, and so it's literally just awaiting disaster to happen as soon as lightning strikes come along, that there is going to be active forest fires in our areas. And the number of disastrous wildfires have more than doubled over the last 20 years, and the most notable one was the fire that happened in Fort McMurray, causing absolutely destruction to that community and going to take decades to rebuild to what it was there before. And like I said earlier, my intent of this video is not to start providing solutions on what we need to do to fix these problems, just to make people aware of what's actually going on. So if you have an opinion or a comment that you think is going to be valuable on what's going on with the wildfires and stuff that we can do to prevent it for in the future, please drop in the comments below. I would love to hear what your guys' opinions are. The next topic is going to be the amount of sea ice that is getting melted each and every year. Beginning my research for this video, I didn't really understand and still don't got a full grasp of how much the sea ice plays a factor into all across the world in terms of just the way that oceans flows, the temperatures of the water, and then the impact that it has to all the wildlife that really supports all these intangibles that we don't really understand and how they affect the environment. Just like in Canada, the actual Arctic is warming at twice as fast as everywhere else in Earth right now currently as well. This is the soaring temperatures due to climate change. We're having that sea ice be thinned and seeing this irreversible effect of with temperatures increasing so drastically that we're not going to be able to get back to the point of seeing the amount of ice that we currently have in these Arctic regions. And now continuing on the topic of ice, our hockey loving country, Canada here, that's absolutely obsessed with backyard rinks and everything hockey is going to be in for a rude awakening with how this is actually affecting climate change. With current stats of what the temperatures currently are getting in these winter months, outdoor backyard rinks might be a thing of the past in some Canadian cities. And it's estimated that in the recent years that the skating season for temperatures that were cool enough to maintain these outdoor rinks have now shrank by over 30% during this time, meaning that some of these cities that used to just have temperatures where you'd have a really nice climate to have a backyard rink for a good portion of the winter aren't getting to the level where it's sustainable for these people in order to have that rink because temperatures are so low. And this is going to cause a massive gut punch to a whole lot of Canadians' Christmases, where a normal thing as a Canadian is you watch the World Juniors and then you go out and play on the backyard rink and pretend to be your favorite player on that year's World Junior team. Now let's talk about how climate change is impacting all the wildlife here in Canada. And I'm going to be talking about one species that's getting hit the hardest right now recently with all the changes that have been brought about due to climate change. And for the people that are wanting first-hand information on what it's going to be like in Canada in the future in terms of real estate, economics, and things, sensitive topics like climate change, you're going to want to subscribe to my channel because I'm going to keep you up to date with what's actually going on and making sure that I checked all the facts so the information you're getting is actually fact-checked and not just a whole bunch of Facebook drama from buddy Ted at the water cooler that doesn't know what he's talking about. So hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to my channel, and love to hear what everyone else thinks of what the future is going to look like here in Canada. Now let's transition to how climate change is impacting the wildlife we have here in Canada that play a vital role for sustaining the environment. With the changing of the seasons in terms of the temperature and shortening in certain aspects, and then the extreme heat that we're seeing in the summertime, in those very mild winters, this is directly affecting so many different species here in Canada, all the way from bees to birds, butterflies, caribou, polar bears, whales, turtles, are species that are all on a massive decline, that all play in a very important role in terms of preserving our environment. Bees, for instance, and birds are the natural way of pollinating and having all these beautiful different vegetation and flowers that we have here in Canada. And with those species on the decline, this has a direct effect on our habitat. Next thing I want to talk about is the flooding that's happening close to these low sea elevation areas. With all that ice getting melted, this is having a direct impact on the communities that live at a low sea elevation, are in danger of receiving a massive flood and being completely wiped out because the ocean is going to be taking over all that landmass because of the increasing amount of ice melt that we see in the Arctic currently. This is a very sensitive topic and extremely hard to unpack. And like I stated early on in the video, I'm not here to provide solutions, just want to make people aware of how this is affecting and impacting Canada. And I want to see a bright future for everyone, and especially my kids and their kids to come. So for the people that have really strong opinions and want to voice and talk about how they think we can actually make Canada better, please leave in the comments below. I love hearing other people's opinion on what we can do to make Canada better.